If we will, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, okay, next on the agenda would be roll call.
Latrell Joy. Here. Gary's in here.
Here.
Deb Christie.
Present.
Shelley Guy's here. Mindy Nash, I'm here. And Jake is also here representing the council and liaising with us.
So we have an agenda. We can proceed. The next item would be approval of agenda, and we all have a copy. We were given a copy in advance. Would like to make an addition to the agenda that at some point in time, we request the village that they issue a proclamation for International Dark Sky Week, which is April 13th through 20th. And I don't believe that takes a meeting. I mean, we can agree on it.
Sure, just like they did last year.
We did last year, so just would be a good reminder
It'll
to,
just be changing the date.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
So that we'll come and approve ourselves doing that. Any other changes to the agenda? Then it'll stand. Are there any questions or comments from community or audience members? Approval of the minutes from the meeting on February 3rd. And Mindy sent a copy earlier. There were a couple of small edits on rearranging the dates. But other than that, what you saw in your email is the final edition. You need time to review.
Since I wasn't here, I would not move to approve because I wasn't here.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know. And I guess Gary's the same.
I wasn't there either, but I do want to thank the committee for making me a voting member. Yay. Thank you.
So then, is there a motion that the minutes be approved as presented?
I'll motion that the minutes be approved.
Second,
I'll second.
and all in favor? Any opposed?
Yeah.
Okay, so for under old business, discussing the modifications. At our last meeting, we, it's in the minutes that we were going to, present the changes we had made on that time. And they were they were very minor, like referring to the, building manager, but
building official.
thank you.
Yeah.
And small things like that. The basic structure was fine. There were just a small editing things, in response to feedback we received at the, January 13th meeting, previous meeting from the council that was presented. Anyway, we had thought we were going to propose these changes on February 24th, but in the meantime, Buddy Steffenhoff from Crossroads LED was giving a presentation to the council. So we wanted to hold off on our presentation in case his presentation had a big impact on anything we would do verbally. So we postponed our presentation to the council till after his presentation, and the information that he presented, it appeared well received, and my understanding is that his cost analysis that Crossroads performed was very acceptable to the village. So as far as we know, unless you correct us that.
So that's correct. The total all-in cost estimate from Buddy, and this was all lights under the village purview. So all of the buildings, all of the fire departments, the biggest chunk of it was the globe style streetlights that we referenced before up and down North Angel Fire. That was about $65,000 to do all of it. And so what we've discussed is trying to break that up over maybe 3 budget cycles. I think there is pretty broad support for doing the North Angel Fire portion first, because it would make the biggest impact. Also, I don't know if you remember from Buddy's presentation, apparently there are 15 of those lights that are already non-operable.
Right.
So they need some TLC anyways. So what we're thinking is taking that 60-ish thousand dollars and breaking it up into three $20,000 budget cycles. And keep in mind, our calendar runs basically through July 1. So we could get one $20,000 spend in the first half of 2026 and another one potentially in the second half, and then follow on a third year later. But I think the comment that I've heard from that is we were expecting it to come in quite a bit more above the $65,000 to do all of the buildings, because we have a substantial number of them. So there seems to be pretty broad agreement that that would be the way to do it. Not necessarily all 65 at once, but break it up over the course of a couple of years. I think the thought process was it might actually be helpful for us to have a retrofitted light next to a unretrofitted light for a couple of months
Yeah.
to let people see the A to B comparison on the same street. Hey, here's where we are and here's where we're going. So that was kind of the thought process there. Hopefully that answers the question.
Does the village own those lights?
So some of them. So I don't know if you know Aspen Circle, up where the new lift and all that is going in, that was sold back to the resort within the last year or so. And there's at least one or two of the lights that are on Aspen Circle that are now not ours. Those are resort lights. But almost all of them up and down North Angel Fire, those are our lights, or we're responsible for maintaining them. We know this because a couple of years ago, apparently, we went to put Christmas lights up on some of them and they were not functioning. And so we had to pay Kit Carson to go retrofit them. So there was a plug on the lamp post to plug the Christmas lights into. So-
Well, and that was my question. You don't have an a municipal electric company.
Correct.
So I was wondering if those don't belong to Kit Carson.
I don't think so. I think there's a very strange arrangement on how they're maintained. We own the lights, the service comes through Kit Carson, but historically, we have not had the ability to maintain any of those. So in today's world, could we put the retrofit lights in, or are we gonna have to contract that with Kit Carson? I don't know the answer to that question yet. But we own the lights, they are in the village right of way, so we're responsible for them. If somebody hit one with their car today and it was laid over in the road, we wouldn't call Kit Carson to come stand it up, we would come stand it up.
I was just trying to see if we could get some money out of it.
It's a good thought, it's a good thought.
Okay, thank you, Jake.
Yep.
So the only other comment that came out of the presentation by Crossroads LED was at that time, our ordinance had proposed a 3,000 Kelvin CCT, color coordinated temperature. And his recommendation, Buddy Stenhoff's recommendation, was to move that down to 2, largely because that's how a lot of the night sky ordinance or night sky communities are going towards. It's just a 2,000 Kelvin. In fact, he had demonstration that the 3,000 were actually brighter than a lot of other things. That, and he feels that in the near future, International Dark Sky, or Dark Sky International, will reduce their acceptable Kelvin to 2,000. So we want to be on top of things right away. So in this version, okay, so yes, I apologize. I was sending stuff like click, and then I got in the car. So you may not have copies of everything. You do at home, wherever your computer is, but I did print out. And so this is a copy of where we were at our last meeting, and then so the red line version, and the only thing that changed from our last meeting to this meeting is to say 2,000 Kelvin. So if you want to see another copy, and then on the assumption that, or if we approve the final change going from 3,000 Kelvin to 2,000 Kelvin, then I did a copy with all the red and blue lines and all the highlighting and stuff out, what it would be is a clean copy. So, version agree, okay. Okay, so are there any questions on just from the February 3rd meeting, changing 2,000 to 3,000 Kelvin? Changing 3 to 2. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 to 2.
Okay.
The only question that I think came up from someone at the meeting was, well, what if they lower, international lowers that from less than 2,000? would our agreement cover it? Probably not. But if you put a bunch of language in there, like you could condition, that it's that unless, then it gets real ambiguous, I think.
The other, I guess, comment Buddy addressed a little bit in his presentation was really Flagstaff has been pushing for that. But once you get below 2000 Kelvin,
Gets red.
it gets red, it gets harder and harder to do. So at least from his recommendation, 2000 seemed like it would future-proof us for at least, 5 years or plus. And I think after that, it may be a language change anyways, that we have to adopt whatever the next thing.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, this committee won't disband, so if something comes up where we will have to make some improvements somewhere, we could always meet again and
Sure.
revisit the
Make
ordinance.
the amendments, like amendments happen all the time in ordinances.
So in that
Will
regard,
this
we can
committee
deal with the
continue?
language as it is.
After the ordinance change.
So it will have to continue at least through formal dark sky adoption, which is, I know, a little further down. The intent is to have this committee shepherd the ordinance through the Dark Sky International approval process. So whatever ordinance you guys elevate to council, first, council has to vote notice to proceed. It will go off to legal review, Nan, our in-house counsel. We'll have a 15-day advertising period to modify the existing ordinance. But we also want to have this committee, because you can't really submit anything to Dark Sky until you have here's what council
Approval.
is approving. My understanding is that process is gonna take some number of months, and there's a nominal cost to it. It's not a large amount of money, but this committee would be in charge of that. Now, in general, we do try to limit committee activities to, do you have something actually to discuss? In other words, we don't want to have you guys in here first Tuesday of the month just to sit around and have coffee. We'd really like to have you in here when there's some work product to do. So it may be that as we're going through the dark sky process, you may go from meeting monthly to quarterly as dark sky is back and forth with us, or there may be 1 month where you have to meet twice and then you don't meet for 4 months, depending upon what that approval process looks like. But the intent is not to disband the committee as soon as council votes notice to proceed. The intent is to let council vote notice to proceed. If that's favorable, then send you guys off to dark sky to do the official adoption process.
And then we would need to be available should legal counsel need some verbiage changing. And then on in the future, because this is just kind of the start, as it's implemented, we may find hiccups or we might find better ways or higher or lower penalties, shorter or longer notification terms. So we're available to make those changes as needed in the future. Is that what you
Because
needed?
I think that the ordinance anticipates that there will be some hiccups.
Well, and one of the things that is likely going to happen is once this is actually passed and done, well, some of our businesses are gonna finally start paying attention and they're gonna have questions. And I suspect some of them will have requests. And so funneling them back to a committee to say, okay, here's what the committee's done. If you're looking for a variance or something else, start here. In other words, don't just start right to council, go to the committee that wrote all this.
Well, that was my thought. Do y'all really want to hear all of that? That's going to come out from the businesses, or can it come to the committee first and then?
I think it would be more appropriate for it to come to the committee first.
So if no other questions, do we have a motion that we just modify what was approved on February 3rd to change the CCT to 2000 Kelvin?
I have a question before the motion. I noticed later, I did just quickly scan your document that just in it. And I noticed you have a diagonal red line through. Is it gonna be voted on at the same time, or are we just gonna vote on the
So
2000?
that red line through the penalty schedule
Yes,
was deleted or voted upon at our last meeting
right.
to delete the fine schedule because generally in the workings of the village, those are done by resolution, so they can
I see.
be changed more easily than amending so that, yes, you caught my error. I forgot to pull that out in the last version, so I did in the printed one, but not in the sent to you. So that the fee schedule is out.
And I scanned it quickly, but
Yeah.
did you do like a word search to find out where to put 2,000 Kelvin's. Okay. So I think it's everywhere. So, yeah, that's my only questions.
Okay.
And then I make a motion to vote on the 2,000 Kelvin issue.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, fully in support of the motion of the 2,000 Kelvin. The only thing I wanted to stop, because you have the language here. We have been targeting, and I've been on the phone the last couple of days trying to figure out this March 10th date, because we've had a bit of a wrinkle. The mayor is out of town next week. And the concern is if the mayor is out of town, I'm mayor pro tem, so we can still have the meeting. But if this were to receive a vote that resulted in a tie, that could happen if the mayor is out of town. So the thought process is here right now, I had a meeting earlier with the manager. I don't think we're gonna target the 10th because it puts us in that situation where we'd have 4 people at the table. And I don't know that we're gonna end in a 2-2 tie. I haven't obviously been out and seen what everyone's gonna vote. I'm not allowed to do that anyways. So right now, tentatively, what's being explored right now is we have a work session scheduled for Monday the 9th. That is part of a 3-session comprehensive plan review that we're going through. So it looks like the meeting on the 10th is gonna get combined with the work session on the 9th. The next wrinkle is the scheduled meeting after that would be the 24th. I don't know if you guys all know this, but the mountain up here closes on the 22nd. The week of the 23rd is local kids spring break week. So I am actually gonna be out of town with about 60 other people. One of the churches up here is taking a bunch of kids up to Colorado to go snow skiing. So we are actually looking at the possibility of either having a meeting on the 17th or on the 31st to try to accommodate this. What we don't want to have happen is you guys have voted this up and then it gets to a meeting and it's deadlocked because we have 1 or more council members out for said meeting. So that was my only comment. I support all the changes and I'm sorry to interrupt the motion. I just wanted to get that out there that I don't think we are targeting the 10th now. We are targeting a date that is to be determined. Hopefully will be set in the next couple of days, but I don't.
So it would be either the 17th or,
The 17th or the 31st are the alternative dates that have been suggested. I think the feeling is right now the 31st actually works a little bit better. We have some timing critical things that were supposed to happen on the 9th that we're gonna keep that meeting. But the week of the 31st is looking like it's the best option.
Is everyone here for the 9th? And is it an actual meeting or just a work session?
It is, so the 9th was a work session. The 10th was the committee meeting. The mayor is out actually all of this week and next week.
Okay.
So that's why we're trying to get away from that, is we don't want to result in and it may be that we have a 4-0 pass or a 3-1, but I don't want to have a 2-2
Right.
tie, and then we have to bump it to another meeting to go back again. So a little bit of inside baseball here on doing that, but the 10th looks like a no-go. And so the clerk is sitting here now. We've been talking about this afternoon. I think what's going to happen is we will have both a work session and a committee or a council meeting on the 9th. And then we will be targeting the second council meeting of the month for the 31st, but that date is not set yet.
Okay.
I'm likely to be gone on the 31st.
Okay? Well,
so am I.
But you guys can meet without me.
Understood.
We still have 3 people.
I'll be here.
But I mean, to make a presentation to council,
So,
if someone wants to do that for the committee.
the part of, I think, your presentations, so obviously we would love to have committee support at whatever meeting this ends up at. The changes referencing Buddy's presentation, and then I see your show and tell here on the table. We definitely want to have all of those questions answered. How much is it going to cost the village? Well, we have an answer for that now. How are residents is going to be able to respond? We have an answer for that now. So we'd like to show those at a council meeting that we've had previous questions brought up by council, and we have an answer for all of those. But unfortunately, like I said, the 10th is, for all intents and purposes, put that out of your head. That's not happening that week. There is a slim possibility the 17th happens, but based on internal conversations, I think the 31st is looking far more likely at this point. And unfortunately, it's my fault that the 24th isn't going to work. But because that spring break, we may have ended up pushing it anyways, because one of the other council members may be out. Because a lot of the families, once the mountain closes here, many of our businesses,
Yeah.
they've been working for 90 days in a row, they close and they take off for a week or two. So we're working in kind of that shoulder season schedule as best we can. So sorry for the interruption of the motion. I just wanted to, since the 10th was on here, make sure you guys were aware.
Thank you. Our point of business says, to present March 10th or next available as scheduled, so, or maybe not next practical.
Sure.
Okay, but let's go ahead and vote on the verbiage as modified again. So Gary had the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And I got a couple of, sorry, 2 seconds. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So we have what we will be presenting to council. Should we now discuss what the most strategic date for us is? It looks like the council will most likely be available to hear us on March 31st. I think I'm likely to be out of town. I'm not quite sure, but likely. So does someone else want to make the presentation for the committee, or does that move it to April 14th?
That's what I was gonna ask. What's the next date?
So the next scheduled date, so we generally meet the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. So the April 14th would be the next council meeting. Unfortunately, I'm also out of town on the 14th. We are taking kids to New York and DC for a field trip that week. So,
I want to go with y'all.
yeah, I know. So unfortunately, it's just the way it worked out with Easter being on the 5th. We opted to go that next week. So yes, that's why we're kind of looking at all these. I spent a lot of time looking at the calendars, trying to figure out how to make this work, because unfortunately, we have a lot of people out of town and more so coming up. So
I think Gary or Deb would do a great job. Presenting on the 31st.
Gary.
Gary would be fabulous. Gary, would you be willing to
Well, I
present?
guess I'd have to,
I have my
If you-
speech
yeah, if
written,
you got a speech, I'll make it.
and then here are the show and tell items. And
Okay.
then I started putting some pictures in PowerPoint, which works best for the presentation here, before and after pictures on a residence.
Okay.
So generally, when there's an agenda item on council, there is a name of who's presenting on it. We could simply have that as Dark Sky Committee to present. And then depending upon the date it actually falls, if you all are willing to find one of you to volunteer on the date we haven't determined yet, that would be sufficient.
Okay.
Yeah, if you coach me, I'll do.
Okay, yeah, like I said, I have some tweaking to do, but I've got it kind of written out what I intended to say,
Okay.
and I can give you.
Yeah, you should show me how to do that.
Yeah,
That's great.
so, we'll tentatively then, ask to be on the agenda for the 31st, unless, how practical or inconvenient is it to call special meeting for one item?
So we looked at that, and that is still being discussed for what I will say is the week of the 16th. But because of the timing here, with the mayor traveling, we don't know which dates are going to be available yet. We actually considered doing something later, like the 13th or the 17th, but there's a few different reasons. If we have a full council meeting on the 9th, which sounds like we're going to, we're not gonna have a lot of agenda items. And so potentially that was why we were looking at either the 17th or the 31st, but that has not been determined. It's gonna depend on who's in town when. And so unfortunately, we've thrown a can of worms to our clerk to say, hey, go wrangle all of us council people and figure out who's where, when. So,
So if
Do we have to give up the 17th now, or is it?
I was gonna say, if it falls on the 17th, can we, because right now, the business item on the agenda is at the next council meeting or as available.
Yeah,
So
can we
if
get
the
that one first?
17th is available,
sure. When you submit your paperwork, you can simply say, next one available. We don't want to do it. The only problem is there will be a council meeting on the 9th. You don't want to be on that. I don't want you to be on that council meeting on the 9th because we're not going to have a full council here. So I don't want to end up in a tie.
Okay. So next available after
Next,
the night.
next full council meeting might be, I guess, the way you could word that.
yeah. Or I can just, yeah, I was gonna say, I'll just submit my paperwork after the due date for the 10th,
Sure.
which is actually tomorrow, right?
Exactly.
So if I don't submit it till Friday, then the next available
Would be the one
would
after.
be, oh, for says the 17th is better, but that doesn't work, then we'll look at the 31st. Any other comments on that? I don't know that that needs it.
Will be available for the 17th. I know I am, but is
Yeah,
everyone here?
I am.
Okay.
That's St. Patrick's Day and Golden Flowers for my sister.
Some of you are in green already.
Yeah.
Saying.
There we go. Okay, okay, so then our other points of business, okay. So on the assumption, hopefully that at the next full council meeting, there's no need for any further edits, and this is the version that they will be sending to legal for review. Then we would want to send the same version to International Dark Sky Association. Would you mind handling that as well, Gary? Because I think you have contacts and the procedures and you're familiar with their.
Yeah, I'll go online and
Okay.
check it out.
Okay.
But did you send that in? I mean, this is,
No, I haven't sent the
Oh, okay.
clean copy yet.
when you
but
get the clean copy.
that we will wait until after the village has agreed to send whatever version, in case there's some little edit or something. We want to be sure what we send to Dark Sky International is exactly what goes to legal.
Okay, and if you do, when you do send it, just put a note in there, please send this to IDA.
Okay, yeah.
The only thing you might add to that would be there is a fee for starting this process with Dark Sky.
Yeah.
And so if you're asking to spend money, make sure to include that on your paperwork, that we ask for council notice to proceed and send to legal and to approve. I don't remember, Gary, do you what it is?
It's 35.
30.
250.
250.
Yeah, it was less than $1,000.
I
So
could always handle that myself
Yeah.
when I do
Gary
it.
Well,
volunteers.
I think asking council to do it at that low dollar amount should not be a struggle, so.
So that would be another, would that be at our request to attend the 17th or 31st, that we also ask for,
So yes,
cost would be 250?
as part of the notice to proceed, if council says, yes, we want you to proceed, well, council is going to proceed with our legal arm. If you then are asking to proceed with Dark Sky, make sure that you have included the dollar amount that the committee is asking to spend. Committees can spend money with council approval.
The notice to proceed needs to include approval of.
The spend. Exactly.
To proceed with International Dark Sky.
Yep.
Okay. Then, I don't believe that would require a vote or anything.
No, you've already voted to proceed. We just want to make sure that you're informing council what all that means in cost and time.
So then the other item that was added to the agenda was asking the village to do a proclamation for International Dark Sky Week, April 13th through 20th. And it's the same process as last year, which I took care of, so I can do that unless someone else wants to jump on board.
You know how to do it.
Okay.
It's the same resolution process we did last year.
Okay. The only other thing I think I have, I did, so I'll be going over this in detail with Ms. Gary about what to present and say at the time that we meet with the council for a hopefully final version. And so I do have, we ordered on a major online retailer, no names mentioned. I found, when we went to Breckenridge and we're just sitting around and I go like, what's in the, well, and this was in a coach light. And so then you screw your light bulb up in here, it becomes fully shielded. And so you don't have to change your fixture, you just shield it. And Deb changed her entire fixture. She's upgrading her house. She likes them better. They're pretty. I don't want to change my coach lights, so I'm going to do this. And so I found those online and with instructions, you want to touch and feel. And then here's another version that online, they look the same size, but they're not. But I'm thinking this may be for like one of those puck lights.
Yeah, or like if you've ever seen them, it screws in and then it has like a mason jar, like a glass that screws
Oh, yeah.
over it. I suspect that takes the place of the glass.
Because it just kind of
That
clips.
way it can clip into the
Yeah.
fixture above.
And
Yeah.
so I ordered one of each just to see, And then we ordered enough of those to do our whole house. And so then we took pictures and,
Is there a wattage limit? Because it feels like plastic is,
no, it's metal.
like it's too hot or, oh, it is metal.
I think so.
I don't know, it's made in China.
No ingredients included.
I guess it is.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just,
So then, I sent pictures to everybody as well, but since I clicked and then drove over here, this is, we retrofitted one side of our house and not the other, so I could show what it looked like before and after, so I'll pass these around. This is what one set of garage door looks like with no changes, and our little coach lights are frosted, but we really like the back part, so we didn't want new fixtures. And then without any changes, currently, on that side, we had no shield and 3,500 Kelvin bulbs. So that's that. And so on the other side of the garage, where, we did install that fixture. And then one time we put in and they're both 2,000 Kelvin bulbs. One is a 60 watt equivalent and one's a 150 watt equivalent. And then what that looks like, so you can put them side by side.
Oh, yeah.
That just looks pretty.
It does.
I think it looks pretty.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
warm and inviting. And
more
then,
yellow than,
yeah.
Yeah.
And and you can still see the driveway, you can still see the door. It's not like you're groping around in the dark. And then these are the pictures I took of the fixture in,
it's pretty.
Breckenridge. That actually looks up and it shows you how the bulb fits in here and what it does. That one had the coach light with, both sides, all the four sides were clear glass, where ours are already frosted. So that would be something that we can show and explain, and then also part of, the cost of these guys. At a major online retailer, not to be named, this one cost $17.88. And a 2,000 Kelvin bulb was $2.97 for a total of $20.85. And then
Wow.
the other one, the clip-in style, was $20.48. And then $2.97 for 2,000 Kelvin bulb made that $23.45. And then I poked around to see if there's other kinds of shields to retrofit floodlights, string lights, can lights, that kind of stuff. And they're like with $5, $9.99, whatever. So a typical home in Angel Fire, would have, my house being typical, but there is no such thing as typical, of course. But 16 coach lights, 4 can lights. We don't have any floodlights, but I added that in because some older garages have floodlights. Then for this kind of typical house would be $393 to do everything. So,
So does this one come in a size that would go over a floodlight?
not that style or
No.
shape, but they have other shields for floodlights.
Okay.
And they're more like a half moon thing, you know what I mean? So if the floodlight is pointed directly out, it would have to be pointed down, and then this kind of cape, for better description, if you know what I'm talking about. It would be like half of this, cut this way,
Mhm.
and then the floodlight would be underneath. So it doesn't go all the way around. But there may be, I mean, I didn't spend days and days online, and I think as more communities become oriented towards dark sky compliance, these are gonna become more and more popular and more and more available. I was a little surprised that the 2,000 Kelvin light bulbs were nearly $3. But, but again, I think a lot of companies, because the 3,000 Kelvin light bulb was only 82 cents. When I originally did the research, when we were under the 3,000 Kelvin parameter, and it went up to 297. I think that they're dumping all of their 3,000 Kelvin light bulbs, just putting them on sale to get rid of them. Because when I spoke with Buddy before his presentation, and he was cautioning me, you know, that we're going to have to move from 3,000 Kelvin to 2. And I said, but that's what Breckenridge had. And he said, yes, that whatever sales rep went to him, and it wasn't Crossroads, it was another that they were trying to dump all their 3,000 gold. So, yeah. So anyway, then I compared that to, cost of a hamburger and fries and iced tea for one person at a particular restaurant in Angel Fire was $19.45. But if you went to the other restaurant and got a taco plate and a beer, that's $24.45. So fixing one light fixture is one meal. And that's if you go by yourself. If you take your family, multiply it out. The other thing that I thought of, and again, Gary, I'll give you all these details, but I think this might be a business opportunity for a handyman here in Angel Fire, because you can buy these in bulk at a little bit lower price. And then if someone says, I have a service of retrofitting your homes, he can, for a small modest fee or markup fee or whatnot, go out and start doing homes. And so someone could have a small business doing that, or a maintenance company or something. And that's especially handy for property owners that are not full-time residents. They're not here to do that, or someone that wouldn't be handy to do it. Like Randy could just reach up and do it for me. I'd have to get a ladder. So I think there's a good opportunity. Or I thought also maybe like a church group or Rotary Club or the high school clubs, if they bought these in bulk and they, could advertise, we'll retrofit your house for whatever dollar. You have to count up how many lights you have and stuff. I think it'd be a good opportunity for somebody. Okay, any other?
I would be a little bit cautious about.
Electrical work for.
Yeah.
Let's forward to the high school group, that's on them.
Screwing the light.
Yeah.
But perhaps, like I said, Deb did hers on her own, it's her home. We did ours on our own, it's our home, but doing someone else's home, I agree, that was kind of a secondary thought, that someone who is a property management company could be authorized, whatever, yeah, so. Are there any other questions or issues to come forward?
What's the name of the company that's marketing these? It doesn't say. Just
I
says.
can send it to you. Oh, yeah, check the instructions.
The reason I'm asking is.
Progress Lighting, yeah. Progress Lighting.
What?
Progress Lighting is the manufacturer of these
I
two.
was over in Taos at Ace and I got him walked up to him because I was looking at bulbs and stuff and I asked him about, dark sky compatible. And I got the strangest look you've ever seen. He said, I don't have any idea what you're talking about. So, okay, we better get ready.
Yeah. So we will request to be on the next available council meeting full council meeting after the 9th, 10th combination meeting, and I'll send a doodad for you, and then I'll send these in PowerPoint.
Okay.
And then should I send also the red line copy so it's easy to find the changes, and then the final?
I would send them both, yeah.
Okay. And then I'll give these to Gary. He can do the show and tell
If you're not here.
if I'm here. And then these are,
That's it, just the two photos?
no, I've got 3 pages.
Okay.
But what I did, I started my PowerPoint was that each picture was a separate slide,
I see.
or I could put them side by side.
What I was getting at is, I can send you the link and you could go at your speed as far as changing the photos if you wanted to, and it would hook up to here.
Well, that'd be great.
If
Oh,
you brought your laptop is what I'm saying, and
Oh,
you
to
logged in on the
scroll through.
call and you shared your screen,
Yeah.
you could change it at your pace if you wanted to. I'm happy to do it. I was just giving you the option.
it probably depends
Oh, yeah.
on Gary's
Or
here.
Gary.
I'm doing
Yeah,
it.
Gary, whatever you prefer.
Well, I don't know, is it usable from, now you said PowerPoint, I've got Apple equipment here, I don't have a laptop.
That would work as well. We have public Wi-Fi you could hook up to, and we could do a dry run before we go before the council.
So if it's just, you just send me the files for the pictures and I can,
Yeah, because the idea is to present it not just to council, but to the audience as well, right?
Yeah.
okay. Sure,
So I would send it to you, just the JPEGs?
just send me the JPEG
Okay.
with explanations.
And then, but I could send it to you in PowerPoint as well.
Yes,
And then
absolutely.
we've got both bases covered.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
And I do have a question about this. I really am having a hard time envisioning how this goes. That one makes sense.
Yeah, well, the bulbs we have were too large for that, so I never used it.
So this would be for a small,
I would think so, yeah.
it would go around the bulb, but then when the light from the bulb be coming out here.
Well, I'm thinking it's gonna be like equivalent to here, that the stem of the bulb, that we clip around the stem, of the
So
bulb,
this would be around the stem.
yeah, and then the bulb itself
Oh,
will
I
be
get it.
inside.
Okay. All right, and now I'm seeing it.
And the first thing I thought of is, well, this looks like a Solo cup, you know?
Yeah.
But not recommended.
That's about the cheapest front porch light you can get.
Okay,
And you see this glass bulb here, there's a set screw is what holds that glass up in there. And I suspect that the set screws, so this screws, it mounts up
oh,
there.
I see.
Is that the instruction for that?
Okay,
This-
got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
That's about the cheapest front door light.
So this is the instruction for that
So
one.
it would suffice it.
Socket. Okay, it goes around the socket. Got it. See, I was thinking it's going around the bulb.
Oh, no, yeah.
It's
So
going
this
around the
would be
socket.
shielded, right, yeah,
All right,
okay.
cool.
So if we have no further business, we're gonna adjourn at 5:17, 13?
13.
13, okay. I have an eye appointment tomorrow. Well, thank you, just, tons and tons of thank you to the committee for, just hanging in there. I think we got something that, will work and be good for us, long term. I don't think it's difficult for compliance purposes. Like I said, taco dinner. So, well, then the meeting's adjourned and then, oh, I have to get.
Off the record.
Okay.